Cameron's here with us, obviously a United fan. I want to ask you about the midfield. Because again, even in the early moments of the game, mistake from Amrabat, counter-attacks, it always seems to go through our midfield. A lot of people at the start of the season said it's Casemiro because he's finished. The last 2 games have been the Casemiro, and we're being countered in exactly the same way. That tells me it's a system issue, the same as our attack. All the players are struggling in the attack. It can't be, I think it's system-based. What needs to happen to improve Man United's midfield? Because City are going to cut through us like a hot knife through butter on Sunday if we play like that.
I think with the midfield, you're spot on with Casemiro. It's not his fault. People are saying Casemiro's legs are gone. The legs don't just vanish after one season. That's not how football works. You see a gradual, deterioration of somebody's physical abilities, and we haven't seen that with Casemiro. I think it just comes down to the system, as you said, and the personnel. Because I don't see why Mason Mount didn't play tonight. He was rested over the weekend. Mason Mount brings that intensity on both sides of the pitch. He works hard off the ball and on the ball as well. He's able to retain it. So I don't know why he didn't play. Amrabat, I think apart from making that mistake, he was all right. He kept it simple. He's a bit of he's the opposite to Casemiro. Casemiro always wants to give that first time pass. So sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. Amrabat kind of takes a touch and scans before doing it. So he brought some calm to us. But obviously he hasn't got the technical ability that Eriksen has. And Ten Hag always says after the game, Eriksen comes on, I brought Eriksen on to play football. So to me, that translates as you're starting the game playing anti-football. If Eriksen is needed to play football, in the manager's opinion, and the manager has said it, why are you not starting games to play football? Do you get what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. That comment was taken so out of context, broski. And I think it's easily done. I think it's natural. I think it's nature for us, not saying it's intentional, but I think it's natural that we as British people, we are quite arrogant to the foreign language and the context in which things are said by foreign managers. When he made that comment, it was clipped up in 2 seconds basically he's saying we didn't play football. In my opinion, and I'll be very, very honest, and I spoke to Aaron about this as well, and some of the takes, I think it was taken massively out of context in terms of simply just saying he wanted to play football like he was being disrespectful and digging at Casemiro. I think he was, again, what's the word I'm after? Sorry. He summarized the details by just saying I wanted to play ball. So ultimately play in a different way. And I think that's ultimately what it would have come down to, as opposed to I'm being disrespectful to Casemiro. But we as Brits, on first sight, we clip it up, we look at it and go, see, he's come for Casemiro now, and we make something out of it. And then you get a couple of Twitter fans who were trying to build their followers by sharing clout. Do you know what I mean?
Even beside, we can forget about the football comment, but let's go back to the point at hand.
Go on.
The midfield balance is just off. And we haven't found the combination that works. And as much as Mason Mount is an enigma to me right now in terms of how he's going to fit in there, we've not really seen him play. He's been injured for the start of the season. Now he's come back. He's on the bench, not getting a lot of minutes. We haven't seen him next to Amrabat. We haven't seen him if he can do a role that Eriksen can do. Obviously not as well, because I think Eriksen is technically better than him. But he can bring more energy to the team. He can bring a bit of drive from the midfield that we've been lacking for so long. And I still think he's got enough technical ability to help keep the ball and spread the ball into the positions that Eriksen was spread into too. And that's the issue here. Like, we haven't got a midfield balance. I've seen a comment with Ten Hag saying we haven't had a set back line like we did last season, and so many things have been changing this year compared to last year. That's why we're not looking as fluid. But he has a chance to set certain things up in the right way. Right now, he's sticking with the same attack that's not scoring, but changing the midfield and the defense.
But if you're him, KJ, who are you bringing on? Because you look at Garnacho again. Everyone's talking about Garnacho coming on, etc., etc. He made just as many mistakes as what Rashford was doing, and Rashford's having a down patch, and this is no different. So the reality,
he looks much
just to land. Sorry, bro. Just to land the point so you can rebuttal. The reality of the situation is the injuries and the changing of profiles are literally damaging the way we want. We can't even build a foundation to play the way Ten Hag wants to do. We haven't even seen him with a fully fit 11, even with profiles that he hasn't chosen himself, that he's got to inherit, to then go, okay, there's 10 games straight with the same players that we can go and do. We haven't got no replacement. So not only is he battling the profile changes, but then at the same time, he's having to rely on the same people because at least he can try and get something out. So, for example, I think Bruno and Rashford should be dropped. However, if you drop them, how are you going to replace the creative stats when your front three and midfield aren't ultimately your creators? And our best goal scorers are midfielders at the moment. There's so many cons to replacing these levels. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Bruno don't need to be dropped. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying those things because he does. And there are games when he's woeful. But it's a bigger risk taking him off because he can't then replace the creativity that he may get 1 in 10 chances to even see out a game. So what would you do with the players that are available at the moment?
But personally, listen, I'm saying you play Amrabat and you bring in Mason Mount because he's been a player that you've bought in for big money. You've put a lot on him in terms of like the 7 shirt and all these different things that he said during when he bought him in. Play him next to Amrabat right now because Casemiro is injured, and when Casemiro comes back, you know what? Try Mount.
Do you know what I don't think? What I don't think is working for our midfield, is having two 8s. I don't really care the numbers pushing up because it's happened in most games this season. Bruno pushes up and goes more to the right. Whether it's Mount, whether it's McTominay in the last few games, he's pushing up and going towards the left. And then when we get caught in the transition, they're sticking bodies in that hole, hoping we give the ball away. And then whoever that midfielder is, Amrabat at the moment, Casemiro, they're being outnumbered. Now, neither Amrabat or Casemiro are the fastest players in the world. So if they had the speed of a Van Dijk, it maybe not be as big of an issue. I think we've got to go back to having a double pivot. Yes, one of them against the lesser teams who sit back deeper can push further forward. We don't need to be overly rigid with it. But what we need to do is get Bruno Fernandez playing off the striker again. That's part of the midfield. It's part of the attack. I know he's not everybody's biggest fan, but for me, his first 2.5 years at the club, that is where he played. When Cristiano Ronaldo joined Man United, that is when we started seeing Bruno's role at the club change. Since that point, he creates quite a lot still, but he scores less and he is assisted less. And when he was scoring and when he was assisting at that level, it was phenomenal. We need to get that back. Otherwise, there's very little point to Bruno Fernandez. So for me, Bruno Fernandez is not going to sit deep, drop out wide and be Xavi. He's not going to be Iniesta. Just as Nathan said a few minutes ago, I don't judge Bruno by what he can't do. I judge him on what he's brilliant at. I'm frustrated he's not being used in that way. Judging a goldfish by its ability to climb a tree is stupid. That isn't what Bruno Fernandez is. You put him off that striker. Some people can call him a second striker. I don't really care what you classify him as. When that man was in that role, he scored more goals from that midfield role in a single season than any other British-based player in the history of British football. That is how good he is at that role. Put him there. And I know he didn't score tonight, but he came alive in that second half. It then meant that you made Copenhagen's midfielders drop deeper, which meant the guys in the middle had more time on the ball and they weren't being overrun on those counterattacks. That has to happen for me. Otherwise, you don't play Bruno Fernandes. If you want someone that's drifting and a little bit deeper, we've got to buy someone else. He's not good enough. He's okay at that, but he isn't brilliant at it. Look at him at Portugal when he was playing in a deeper role for Portugal under Santos. I know you hated him, KJ. This man, he got a few goals and assists, but he was just, I watched him and I was like, this ain't the Bruno of Man United. He was a different player. Now he's playing 20, 30 yards further up the pitch, in and around the front men. The guy's scoring and assisting in every game he's playing internationally. It's just, I know we live in this world where if we don't quite like someone for one reason or another, we moan about what they can't do. For me, when you look at a squad, you've got to utilize players what they're good at. Casemiro and Amrabat, you have them sitting deeper. Mount, you get him running around, not like a headless chicken, with a strategy, pressing, winning the ball back and giving it to other people. Rashford tonight, again, I think he needs to be dropped. His confidence is gone. But he's being asked, I know Staffy called it out earlier, but he's being asked to play so wide and deep to spread the play so we're wider. No disrespect again to Ten Hag. He is not a creative winger who's good at holding on to the ball. He is not Grealish. So you can't play him like that. He is an inside forward who likes to score goals. And if you're not playing him in a role where he's going to be getting those opportunities in abundance, we've got a problem. Second half, when we moved Rashford and we changed the middle and Rashford went inside, yes, he's touched, let him down. But how many times was he getting in and looking dangerous like last season? Now, if his confidence is there, he scores. And this is what we need to do. The manager has made so many changes. Too many of them haven't worked, and it's leaving holes everywhere. So I don't believe in completely going back to what we did last year, but he's got to utilize people in positions. And we Man United fans, we've called this out for a decade. Stop putting square pegs in round holes, because it doesn't. It can work for a game or two. Even the likes of Fergie and Pep, the greats, they do it every now and then. They go, do you know what I'm going to do today to wind everyone up? I'm going to throw Phil Jones in midfield to man mark someone, and it might work for a game. Doesn't work 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games because they get worked out. And that, I think, will improve Man United. I think we'll be less vulnerable. Confidence will grow again. Will it make us as good as Man City? I'm not convinced right now. But will we win more? Listen, we're still not that far away from top 4. We beat Copenhagen away next, and we've got a really good chance. Because I think Bayern will beat Galatasaray. We win our next game. I think Bayern win. We'll be second in the group. Then we have a genuine chance. 2 games remaining. Probably just need one more win. You know, and maybe we could pull something off and get out of this group. But if we keep playing how we are, as great as Maguire was tonight, as great as Onana's save was, it is all going to be in vain, because with the performances we're putting in, we're getting knocked out of the Champions League. It's as simple as that.
One last point on the attack. I think if you look over the years, the best teams have two main outlets of scoring goals. If you remember Liverpool, it was Mane and Salah. Man United were scoring a load of goals. It was Bruno and Rashford. When you look at, like, right now for Man City, it's Haaland and Alvarez. So teams need 2 main outlets to score goals from. What happened with Man United is, like Terry said, as soon as we brought Cristiano Ronaldo, we went from trying to get 2 players to score goals to 1 player to score goals. And then Ronaldo left. Rashford stepped into that role, but everything was on him. Now we've got to a point where we've got Rasmus Højlund, who wants to score goals, Bruno Fernandez, who should be scoring goals, Rashford, who wants to score goals, and now we're not too sure how to put them all together into one. So one of them has to be sacrificed, because we can't, in my opinion, for main goal scoring threat, you should have your main 2 that you feed the team around, and then everyone else plays their part where they can.
Yeah, mate, I'll make it right now. There is an announcement I need to go to. It's been a tough week for football as it is, but some really sad news. Just breaking in regards to Thierry Henry. It's turned out that Kate Abdo is getting engaged to somebody else. I want to say commiserations to Thierry Henry.
Bro, you had me going for it.
Commiserations, Thierry. I've just seen the news.
Don't do that, man.
That was good, right? That was good. That was good. I held that together. I nearly burst out laughing.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
I've got some super chats to do here that I want to go through. This one's an interesting one. It says, thank you, Glazers, for not selling Maguire. Joke. He says, this is sarcasm intended to show how silly it is to make the Glazers a sole determining factor.
What?
This guy really, wants the Glazers to be seen as not that bad, isn't it? Every single stream right now is like...
No one has said that the Glazers are at fault for every single thing that goes wrong, i.e. they didn't make Jose Mourinho have a go at Martial for going to his child's birth. They didn't make Rashford have a bad touch tonight. Nobody has ever blamed the Glazers for that directly. We blame the Glazers for where we are right now. But again, to counter your point, even though it's sarcasm, if they would have sold him and brought in a top-class centre-back, maybe we wouldn't have had to rely at this point a goal from Maguire to save the day. So I get where you're coming from. No one's ever said they are the only or the sole determining factor, but they run the club. And I said it to you on the earlier stream, I'll say it again. You can't tell me to not blame the people that run the club for running the club poorly. It's literally their job, bro, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? This says, it's a damn miracle. Acuna, got out of there without a yellow for his eighth foul overall. Listen, that man should have been sent off in the game we played at Old Trafford as well. That guy is a brute, but he's just one of them individuals. He must something about him. The man don't get in trouble. Like it reminds you of Gerrard. 3 points more important than the performance today. 2 villains turned to heroes. Maguire's win percentage increasing, becoming undroppable. Love the show. Come on, you gooners. I will say this, Randy. Listen, I called him out in the international break because I was like, oh, don't do this stupid interview where you speak about win percentages. Take responsibility. And sometimes you got to look at what people do and put it above what they say in life. And look, he started the last 3 games. It's 3 games. I'm not getting carried away. This was the Maguire that we signed. And this is what the level he's at right now is what I saw in those first 18 months. And I look, if he can get back to that level, then it's fine. We keep him as an example.
And yeah.
All I'm saying is with that win percentage, add context to it. Look at the teams he played on the Ten Hag.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah,
and I'll
he still has to.
Randy. Well. I don't think at this point points are more important than performances. I think we've gone past the point where the points mean anything, and we need to start seeing something from the team that resembles a team. To me personally,
I disagree probably at this stage. I can't lie. At this stage, I'm looking at results, man. Because
I think in the Champions League, to stay in the Champions League,
we need some performances.
Yeah.
In the Champions League, definitely results, but in the Premier League, overall, we need some performances.
Yeah, overall performances. But yeah, I want to be in the Champions League because if you get to like February and you're playing really well, but you're out of the Champions League, it will hurt more. So yeah, I think there's a balance, as you boys say.